Марц, день добрый, спасибо, что согласились дать интервью в рамках второго форума сотрудничества «Цели устойчивого развития. Инструменты для бизнес-практики». Расскажите, пожалуйста, с какими вызовами столкнулась ваша компания во время кризиса, вызванной пандемией в 2020 году? И не просто ли было бизнесу противостоять кризису и в то же время продолжать работу в достижении устойчивого развития?
Yes, I think in many ways 3M was significantly impacted by the pandemic, and in ways we still are. It was in a way a perfect storm where governments were under a lot of stress, where manufacturing and supply chains were challenged, and obviously the healthcare system suffered a lot. From the 3M side, what we try to focus on during the pandemic was to do what I think that we do best: work with the societies, with the people, with the customers where we operate. For example, and obviously, we focused a lot to increase our manufacturing of protective equipment, respirators for hospital personnel, for early responders, for people that are faced with this virus day to day. We more or less doubled our manufacturing of disposable respirators, up to 2 billion respirators we produced in 2020. And obviously a large volume also produced in our Russian operations in Volokholamsk for the Russian and CIS markets. Besides that, we focused on other elements where 3M could contribute. Everything around healthcare, medical equipment that 3M could accelerate, our work on filter solutions for the pharma industry, in any way try to help the global situation sorting out this pandemic. In parallel, obviously, we also try to maintain our normal business, because there is a car industry in Russia that needs to be supplied. There are still offices that needs to be supplied with those kind of products. There are people working in the electrical and electronic businesses that needs our solutions. So we try to do both of those things at the same time. So a difficult year for us, a difficult year for many companies, but our key priority has always been to protect our people and to make sure that we try to protect the people that protect us within the healthcare sector, the social sector, for the better good for every one of us. Let's hope that we have the worst behind us, but unfortunately, I am guessing we will see this virus in our societies for still some time, right? So we need to continue to be careful.
Ваша компания на практике внедряет повестку устойчивого развития в части защиты окружающей среды уже начиная с 90-х годов, то есть фактически 30 лет. Какой вот главный итог вашей деятельности за 30 лет был сделан или вы бы обозначили? То есть какая-то, может быть, самая главная задача, которую вы выполнили?
Yeah, I actually think, I would say it is even older than that. 3M's first initiative was established back in 1975, called Pollution Prevention PACE. And this is sort of the grandfather for 3M when it comes to taking our responsibility as a company to act in a sustainable, a long-term thinking in everything that we do. And it has then, obviously, as you said, evolved over years to where we are now. So as we announced in the United Nations SDG meeting here in Russia, and obviously as our chairman of the board and the CEO Mike Roman announced in January, 3M has a firm commitment to accelerate our ESG work. And that is obviously the long-term intent to become carbon-free. 2050, 3M should be a carbon-neutral company. and obviously a significant undertaking for us. And you should bear in mind that we have in our own operations up until today reduced our greenhouse gases already with 70%. We have been working on that for a very, very long time. We have 35% of our manufacturing sites today there we have a no waste, a zero waste manufacturing production. So we are now taking the next step with this, and we're not talking about the US, we're not talking about Russia, we're talking about all the 70 countries where 3M operates. And one other detail in this that is very encouraging, since 2019, 3M has taken the decision that all our products should either be aimed to help solving a social issue or being part in the solution of an environmental issue. So we have a long history where we have done a lot of things, and we still have giant leaps ahead of us.
Компания 3M приняла на себя обязательство на протяжении последующих 20 лет инвестировать $1 миллиард США в вопросы ответственного отношения к окружающей среде. Расскажите, пожалуйста, подробнее вот об этой инициативе и какие направления по защите окружающей среды вы поддерживаете.
Personally, I feel very, very proud over the company's commitment, our leadership's commitment, and also then living that commitment by announcing these targets and these investments. It has two main targets. So the $1 billion is there for sure. And it has two main targets. One is, as I said before, making 3M carbon neutral. The other one is a significant focus on clean water. And I will elaborate on both of those. By 2030, 3M will have reached half the target. We will be 50% carbon neutral in all our operations around the world. By 2040, we will be 80% neutral, and finally, 100% carbon neutral by 2050. The other element is water, and I think that is a very, very encouraging approach as well. 3M's commitment is that we should, within this period of time, per year, we should reduce our water spend by 9.5 billion liters per year. And we will do this in several ways, but one thing that we will do very, very rapidly is invest significantly in water cleaner treatment in our manufacturing sites. And we will do this in 2023, making sure that it's operational in 2024. And by that, the water that we use in our manufacturing, when it goes back into the water system, it will actually be cleaner than when we brought it into our manufacturing sites.
Если говорить про интеграцию целей устойчивого развития в бизнес-стратегии компании, какая должна быть мотивация у бизнеса?
I think it is difficult to give advices, but I can at least share why I think ESG is important and getting more and more important. I think it's interesting how fast ESG questions have become globally important among the younger generation, among business leaders, and among investors. And obviously now, all we members of a society, I think in one or another way, think more and more about these questions. And they become more something that is regularly discussed. I'm convinced that they are also regularly discussed in Russia today, and I know that for a fact from my colleagues. And I think a company that doesn't take this seriously and doesn't put facts and action behind their words will be faced with difficulties in the future, because this is in many ways critical for us as private persons in our day-to-day life. Think about it from this perspective. You see more and more green investment strategies from global investment organizations, right? You see more and more of these types of certifications where organizations certify that you operate in a sustainable way. And obviously, as I said, predominantly maybe among younger people, you see in social media, you see in all sorts of contacts that they have, how they talk about these things. So this is important. And I'm happy to see that Russian companies are taking it serious, and we have a little way to go. I think that companies that want to be long-term, that want to be strategic long-term, will take this into consideration. I think that they do. And I also think it is interesting that in many ways, companies that take a ESG responsibility also looks to be more successful, which should not be underestimated.
И все-таки есть ли большая разница, или может быть просто разница между американскими и российскими компаниями в достижении устойчивого развития?
I think it's fair to say that in recent time, the Russian Federation have made some very welcomed step in this area. And I refer to, for example, that Russia have now really a strong commitment to the United Nations sustainability goals, the 17 sustainability goals. And obviously that puts sustainability on the agenda for everyone. So when the Russian Federation in October says that this is important, then obviously that is a vessel for us to discuss these questions between companies who operate in the Russian market. And I think that we feel that. I think that we today have many more speaking partners, foreign, but also Russian companies that really take these questions seriously and wants to be part of the solution. And another important element that we welcome a lot is also the decision by the authorities to invest in the development of hydrogen in Russia. I think that's a great step. If Russia can be a significant producer of hydrogen for its domestic use, but also for export, obviously that's a good opportunity for Russian industry to go in to more of an environmental friendly type of business for the good of Russia and also for the rest of EMEA particularly. So we see from a 3M side, we see that there are a lot of good things happening. We see that some of the great Russian companies partner to us take a firm position in this. I would like to mention the cooperation that we have with Sibur, which I think stands as one of the ones that have taken the first steps and is leading this from a Russian side in many ways. But it's fair to say also, Ludmila, that it is a long way, right? We have been working on this since 1975. And we will have to continue to work on this as long as we exist as a company. And I think that all of our partners also need to think about it in that way. So we have a long way ahead of us, but the journey has started.
Март, спасибо большое. Было очень действительно интересно. Хочется, конечно, побольше еще узнать о вашей организации. Я думаю, что это будет не последнее интервью.
I look forward to that in person. When we have taken our vaccines, all of us, we can do it in person instead. Людмила, спасибо вам большое.